Today I'm going to talk about the different kinds of remedial measures which are done across. Basically, there are two types of remedial measure which is advocated across. In Kerala, if you go to remedial measure, they have a very simple way of doing a remedial measure. They will do the Bhagavati Seva or Bhagavati Puja for 4 or 5 times a day. The puja will be done morning, afternoon, evening and the next day. With that, the remedial measure will close. They do it in huge amount of volume. For example, there was somebody was asked to do Mahamrityunjaya Japa for 10,000 ahutis. They said if you do it for 10,000 ahutis, the problem will get solved. So the priest was called and they did puja for 10,000 ahutis. So this is the basic fundamental approach towards the remedial measure. They do it in volume. The volume is taken into account and they do it. I believe in repetition and in volume. You repeat the same process again and again and again. It's like going to a gym, and you can increase the volume of the remedial measure, which will have tremendous impact into your person's life. For example, there was a man who wanted to improve his finances. Now Jupiter was in Vrichika, the 11th lord was supposed to be Mercury, which is the Amsa of Vishnu. So I asked him to light 5 lamps, which will really help him to do the sadhana, and also green gram was put under the 5 lamps across. The other one, I recommended the puja for 48 days across for the Vishnu across. Now this is the compounding impact of the remedial measure. You do the remedial measure. For example, if the guy had very intense problem, I would have told him to do 3 times puja every day. If the guy has a moderate problem, then 2 times. If a guy has a simple problem, then do puja once. So this guy asked me, he said, why are you recommending 5 lamps I light? Normally they do the lighting of the lamp as only one time. Why are you recommending 5 times across? I told him, no, the volume will have a huge impact into your life, and the volume will bring in a tremendous amount of impact, fast impact into the life. It's like going to a gym and every day pumping up across, which will have a huge impact. And that is the power of the volume. Normally, people will be asked to light 1 lamp. I actually ask them to light 5 lamps across, which will have a tremendous impact. Normally, remedial measures are various kinds. For example, many people ask stones, colored stones, or expensive stones. We do not recommend color stone or expensive stones across, because the main problem is the original stone rate is very expensive, and many people find it very difficult to do that kind of a intense sadhana. For example, Kanaka Pushparag is supposed to be costing 10 lakhs of rupees it would cost, and they find it very difficult for many people to put it to original. So they put the duplicate Kanaka Pushparag, which does not have so much of impact. The other problem is going to temple. Now people write down, they say go to Sunny Singapore, go to Sai Baba, go to this. You can take time off and go to the temple once. But many people find it very difficult to go to the temple because they have some kind of responsibility. They are not able to get the time. They don't have enough money and resources, and they have a problem across. So all our remedial measures are very simple, inexpensive, easy. Either you execute it or we execute for you and come. Now many people simply say, let me execute the remedial measure. If from Guru, the ninth lord is afflicted, you doing the remedial measure for yourself will not have an impact. You should try to give the remedial measure to another person and ask them to do it. There was a lady who came to us and she said, you tell me the remedial measure, I will do it. I told her the remedial measure. She was going on doing it. There was no impact. She asked me why. I said, the remedial measure, which you are not supposed to do, you have to take somebody's help and did. And we did the remedial measure and immediately her marriage got fixed. So this I'm not telling for YouTube's sake. So please understand, remedial measure has to be done in volume, repetition, whether you do it or another person does it across. The other point is, for the remedial measure to have a proper impact, you have to align the time component of it. Either the hora or the nakshatra or the day or the tithi has to be aligned to have a maximum impact of the remedial measure. For example, some people worship Bhairav in Ashtami, some people do Ekadasi fasting, some people light lamp on Thursday, some people light lamp on Tuesday. Like that, many people do the yama niyama practice with the alignment of time. If your remedial measure is not with the alignment of time, you are doing it general, then it will not have a speedy impact. For the speedy impact to happen, you need to make the remedial measure align with the time across. So this is also one of the biggest mistake the remedial measure people do it. The other point is, when you do the remedial measure, you are not supposed to share it with others. You are not supposed to encourage others, share people, tell people. I told a lady who was doing remedial measure, I said, don't tell it to others, keep it to yourself. She went ahead and told. The law of mouth operated. From that day, she was not able to do it. There was an unforeseen obstacle and difficulty and the problem across. The other problem is, people think remedial measures are expensive. No, initially the remedial measure are expensive, but as you do the remedial measure, you will get extra income, you will get extra flow of money for you to do the remedial measure. There was a guy who did not believe me when I told him this. He actually came and told me the story. Actually, I wanted to give the remedial measure for 10 days and see. I did that. Again, I got some money. I invested in that. Again, I did that. Again, I invested. Like this, I was able to complete the 90 days of remedial measure, which in turn helped me with the entire thing across. So this is the power of the remedial measure. The remedial measure, where you can generate the income for the remedial measure. So start the remedial measure. So don't try to give excuses saying, I don't have money, I don't have inclination, I don't have this and that. Just start the process. The remedial measure will take care of itself across. The other problem is, now people say you should have faith. No, you should learn to work out with the indicators of the remedial measure. If you are doing job for the remedial measure for the job, are you getting more interviews? Are you having the interview call? Is people talking about the job? Is clicking? Then your remedial measure is correct. If you are doing remedial measure for marriage, is your mind becoming clear? Are you able to see too many horoscopes? And do you want to conclude the search across? Like that, that is the remedial measure which has to be taken with the indicator. Now, many people do not understand this aspect of the remedial measure. So use the indicator and don't do it just once and simply say it is going to have an impact. No, it is not going to have an impact. For example, many people do Sarpashanti Puja, they do it once and they expect the problem to get solved. No, it's not going to get solved that way, because you require repetition, volume, doing it in the correct time. Somebody has to do it for you across. That way, the remedial measure will be helpful to you across the person. Thank you.